Okay, I am not writing main because we are not using main anymore now onwards. We are developing the application, so we have server to take care of the request and response. We don't need main method to start our program. I just clicked on next. So this is just a normal class. And let me also create a servlet. I want to show you how to create a servlet. File new and servlet. Okay. The servlet name is my first servlet. So when you are creating the servlet, I have package defined already. So I'm creating inside the package, and the source folder will be automatically generated as a project name. Again, SRC folder under it. My project name is my employee project, and my source name is project in the SRC, and the class servlet name you have to give. So we are creating a servlet. Again, the class name would be servlet name. The servlet is nothing but a class. So the superclass of your servlet will be, we discussed already, it will be HTTP servlet. If you want to change it, you can change it. You can give other class name, or you can simply write the generic servlet or servlet here. Okay. So it will be present inside this package. Okay. So let me click on next. So you are understanding the difference between creating a class and creating a servlet, right? So when you click on next, as we are extending HTTP servlet, by default, we will get some methods of HTTP servlets available. Let me just click on next. Here you have to remember two things. It will show you the URL mapping. It will show you the methods available. So again, URL mapping. Just tell me, I have one question. Why you need to take care of this URL mapping? Okay, so I defined something here. When your request comes to the Tomcat, it has to identify the servlet, right? So how it will identify? It will identify using the URL mapping, correct? URL mapping, you can give it in the two places. URL mapping. URL mapping. Mappings can be given inside web.xml, or they can be given inside the servlet itself. There are two ways. Initially, we used to give the URL mappings inside the web.xml, but now we can also give inside the servlet. There are respective advantages and disadvantages both. Just a minute. So as we were discussing, your Tomcat needs to understand where your servlet is located. So for identifying it, we have to provide the URL mapping. We can provide the URL mapping either in the servlet or in the web.xml. So I am going to show you. You can give the URL mapping will be like a nickname of your servlet, like which you want to which is useful for identifying your servlet. You can actually edit it. If I want the name to be just first, instead of my first servlet, I just want to give it as first. I can do that. You can give, usually it's always better to give the servlet name. Otherwise, you give the short name. If you are getting confused between both, then just give the servlet name itself. That will be better, just like this. So let me just give you first here. I just want to show you. So it got changed to first. Remember this URL mapping. Again, we have these list of methods available. These methods are coming from which class? Methods are coming from the HTTP servlet class because we are actually extending it. Correct? Yeah. They are also available in the root top interface and the respective classes. Correct? Okay. So I just want to keep do post and do get will be automatically checked because they are the most frequently used methods. So I'm just removing do post. For now, I just want to explain you do get. And let me just click on finish. So see, whatever I gave in the URL mapping, that comes here. Okay. So let me just remove the unnecessary constructor code. I don't want any code. I just want do get method. So this is my servlet. This is how my servlet looks like. It has a URL mapping and it also has a method with it. Let me put them side by side. So this is my class and this is my servlet. So how can I make this class as servlet? We discussed this already. I want to make this class as a servlet. How can I make it?
Extend HTTP servlet.
Yeah, simple. If I extend HTTP servlet, my class has become servlet now. I just want to import it, right? And there will be so many methods available as part of the life cycle. I'm not using any of those methods now. In this servlet, I'm just using do get. So now both are servlets. Yes or no? Both are servlets. Okay. So what I want to do here, what are all the methods of servlet? Init, service, and destroy, right? But here I'm using do get instead of service. Is that fine?
Yes, it's the part of the method.
Correct, because do get is also part of the service. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just trying to give the service. Let me check whether it will work or not. Public void service. So this is how we define a method. Again, for each method of the servlet, you have to pass the request and response parameters because this is how they work and they are from the syntax. So I just created a method, public void service, and I am just passing the request and response parameters. So now both are servlets and both have the respective methods. Any confusion till here? Okay, first one I created a class. Second one I straightforwardly created a servlet which extends the HTTP servlet. And do get, did I write this method or it generated automatically? I did not write it, but it got generated. I just checked on it. It was checked, so I did not unchecked it, so it gets generated automatically. Okay, so can you see one more difference? Can you see the difference between these two servlets?
There is no URL.
Yeah, the URL mapping is mentioned for this servlet and this I just created as it as class and it is not generated. Can I write it if I want? Okay, let me check whether it will work or not. I want to check whether it will work or not. So I just want to run it. My server is started. So I want to print something on the web page. So for printing, which interface we use? Yeah, print print writer. Print writer. PW is the variable name. Again, response dot. This is for writing something on the browser. Okay. PW dot write. Okay. I just want to write. This is my. So before you could develop anything, just first check whether it is working or not. So how can I check this particular servlet is working or not? I will just run it because my server is already started. Right click, run as, run on the server. And I always, it is asking me every time. So let me just click on it. It will not ask me every time. Let me click on next and finish. I don't want to restart the server. I just want to continue. Okay, I think I need to restart the server. Sometimes the Tomcat does not read your changes. So let me just do it again. Let me just run it again. Okay. Right click. Again, I am running it again. Let me just restart the server. Server is restarting. I will get output on the browser because this is a dynamic web application. So it's working or not? Hello, this is my first servlet. Okay, so you have to make sure there's nothing wrong with your servlet. So if you are printing something, it should be able to print. So when you run it, you have a method inside it, and this is the servlet which extends HTTP servlet. Your Tomcat will take care of deploying it, running its methods. So we did not define init or service, so we just have do get method that gets executed. So shall I keep the same code here and check whether it will work or not? Because the methods are different. Here we have service and there we have do get. So okay, we are just adding the throws declaration just to suppress the exceptions. And this is my employee class. Shall I run this one? Let me check. Okay, restart the server. It should work. Let's see whether it will work or not. Why it is giving me this? Because I don't have the URL mapping defined. Okay, shall I define the URL mapping? Okay, let me just define it. Let's see whether it will work or not. Otherwise, let me run it again and let's see. Okay, let me just define the URL mapping. So let me just change it because we have first already. So what shall I give it? But we have to give something similar to this so that we don't get confused. If I give second, there is no similarity. If I give first because I have my first servlet. So let me just give employee here. So we have some URL mapping defined here, right? Okay, let me just run it. It's working now because you have to mention the URL mapping. So is this clear? Till this point, it's clear for you or not? Or are you getting confused if I write two classes like this? No confusion, right? Okay, somebody is replying continuously, but what about others who are not replying? There are, some students are totally silent in my class. I don't know whether they are at their desk at least or not. Okay. Okay, fine. So what I want to do here, I told you, right? I told you that we can write the URL mapping in two ways. We can either write it in the servlet or what is another way? Another way is to write them on the web.xml file. Okay, somebody has some doubt. We can use pw.write out.print interchangeably. What do you mean by out.print? Where you got the out.print from? Out is just another method. Okay, so let me show you the methods available. See, these are the methods available. See, here also you have print available. Out or PW. Either it is out or either it is PW. They are just variables. Okay, I can write out here also. It is just a variable you can give. So you try using another methods. It both does the same thing. Yeah, it will work. Okay. Okay, so let me do one thing. For my first servlet, I want to keep this URL mapping here itself. But my second servlet, so both two are servlets now. We don't have any class, both are servlets. And for this one, I want to define the URL mapping inside the web.xml file. Let me just open it. So now let me just remove it. Okay, otherwise let me just comment it. Instead of mentioning the URL mapping here, I want to mention this URL mapping inside the web.xml file. Okay, so when any request comes, the Tomcat refers that particular URL mapping. Okay, so how can I write the URL mappings? First, I have to give the servlet. Next, servlet mapping. Okay, so this is what I have to write for each and every servlet. Again, here I have to write servlet class, servlet name. Again, here I have to write servlet class. What I have to write here again? Again, servlet name. Again, servlet class. URL pattern. Okay. So what is the servlet name here? The servlet name is my employee class. Just give it some time. It's loading. Okay. So what is the servlet name? Tell me. What is the servlet name?
My employee class.
Okay. Just a minute. It's loading again. Just a minute. Okay. Let me just copy it from here. So the servlet name is my employee class, and the servlet class should be fully qualified name of your class. Fully qualified name means including the package. So my class name is com.cubic.com.cubic. This is called the fully qualified name. This is the class name. This is fully qualified class name. Because when I say this servlet, you have to also give the path where the servlet exists, right? So refer this class, and the path of that class is it is present inside com.cubic package, and they present inside that project. Okay. Here I have to provide the servlet mapping. Servlet name should be same here also. So let me provide the servlet name. Okay. If you keep it in the default package, if you don't have the package, just give as it is. If you have some package, mention the package details. It is always good practice to keep your files inside the package. Okay. And URL pattern is that URL mapping which you want to give. So here I want to give as employee. This is the URL pattern I want to give. So I will give the same here. Sorry, something else came. Okay. So now your servlet will be identified based on this employee. Just give it some time. Okay, now I don't have URL mapping here. I commented it, but I have URL mapping inside the web.xml file. So when I run this one, my Tomcat receives this request and it will be handled through my Tomcat. It will refer the URL mapping from the web.xml file. So shall I run it? Restart the server and handle my request. Okay, why it is giving me error? Just a minute, let me just close it, close this one. But I have it mentioned inside. If you have in web.xml, you don't need to mention it here. That's fine. Okay, this is some default code. Let me run it again. Okay, I will check that one. And so this is how we add the web.xml entries. Nowadays, you can do it in two ways. You can either write it in the servlet itself or you can mention it in the web.xml file. So which one you prefer and why we have two ways? Which one is advisable? So don't you feel this one is easy? Because you can write only in the single line. If you preferring web.xml, you have to write the more than 6 lines of code. It's almost 8 lines for a single servlet. And if you have 100 servlets, for 100 servlets, you have to write this one, this particular code. Correct? Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So the advantage of writing the URL mapping inside servlet is you can write it in the single line. But the disadvantage is if you have 100 servlet, you have to open each and every servlet to check that particular mapping. Instead of that, you can write all of the mappings inside the web.xml and you just open web.xml file, that's enough. So these are the different advantages of both. Okay. So, but I prefer to write it inside the servlet because it is easy. Easy for me. You can write it in the single line. Okay. Shall we write this particular entries in web.xml? Now just tell me, I have web.xml with me and I have my first servlet. I don't want to write this. I don't want to give this annotation here. I want to write the entries here. Can I do that? Why not? Why you said no? We can do that. I will just comment it there and I will just write it here. Just give it some time. It's loading. Okay. I will just do one thing. I will simply copy it and I will just paste it. And my class name is my first servlet. My first servlet. Okay. I don't know. Again and again, maybe it has become little slow. Just a minute. Okay. And this is the fully qualified name. And this is the class name. And what is the URL pattern? Tell me what I have to give here.
Slash first.
Yes. And let me just comment this particular line. Now I want to write a JSP and I want to provide a request whether I'll be able to call the servlet from that request or not. Okay, so now I have the entries ready with me from the web.xml file. Let me just write a JSP file. Is this clear till here? Okay. Okay. Okay, just give it some time and I will just write, let me write a JSP. New JSP file. So please observe, we are writing the JSP file inside the web content. Okay, so my JSP file is welcome. When I click on next, your JSP file should always have the .jsp extension, and when you click on next, the default code gets generated. And let me just click on finish. This is the default code that comes automatically and it defines some properties. This is a tag, we discuss about it later. This is called a scriptlet and these are the tags associated with it. We will discuss about it later. This is to inform you browser about the version of, about some details about your JSP, regarding some details. The language whichever you are using is Java and the content type which you are displaying is either text or HTML. This is some encoding related feature and this is the respective ID. So this is just inform your browser about the content which you are displaying. You don't worry about this default code. This is the default code which gets generated and this is the HTML code. And this is the title. Whatever you title you give here, it comes on your browser page like this. See, this is your browser page and the title is status not found. So when you give welcome here, the title comes as welcome. It is like that. Whatever you give, here comes as the title to that page. Okay. So what I want to do here is from this JSP, I want to call any of those servlets. Okay. Okay. So let me write welcome here. This welcome gets printed as it is. Now from this JSP is used for the front end. I want to write some button here. When I click on that button, I will go to any one of the servlets. How can I do that? For that, you have to use the form tag. You want to perform some action, that action should take you to the servlet, right? So how to write the form tag? Just give this angular bracket form and double click on it. This comes automatically. I told you already, each and every tag will have its associated closing tag. Form has its closing tag here. So here again in the form, I am writing, click this button. Content will be there and I want to introduce a button. You know, the mistake what we did was instead of submit, we were giving the button. So if you want your form tag to perform some action, you have to give submit here, not button. You can also give button here. Let me show you. See, can you see button here? If you give button, normal button will be displayed. But if you are using form tag, you have to give submit. Then it will understand that when you click on this submit, that action should be triggered. Okay. So these are all the items attributes we are giving along with the form tag. So when you click on the submit button, this action takes place. So this action should take you to which servlet? You tell me which servlet you want.
My first sublet.
So value is something which gets displayed on the button. So I just want to give click me. If you give submit, submit gets displayed, or if you give click me, whatever you give, the content get displayed on that particular button. So here I have to give the servlet name or URL mapping name. This is very important. So this is my form tag, and when I click on this button, so for now I'm not giving any action. Will it work? Let me remove this action completely. I removed it. So if I run this JSP file alone, will it work? What about others? I got only one answer. Okay. What about others? Only three answers.
Yeah, it'll run.
Okay. Let me just run it. Let's see. Server is starting and I will get the output on the browser. See, of course it will work. Yeah, it is just that it won't go to the next page. You know, the difference is you are giving a form tag, but you did not define the target, but still it will work. Okay. When you define some action here, upon clicking, just let me click on click here. Nothing is happening because you did not define the target anything here. Let me define that action. Here you told me that we have to give the URL mapping. So let me just, what is my URL mapping? Inside the web.xml I gave as first, right? So let me give as first. Now what happens? Let's see. Now it is giving me error. Earlier it was not defined, so nothing was happening. Now we define first, but it's not able to identify, so it's giving me error. Okay, even if you give action or if you does not give, whatever content you write here, that will get displayed. Okay, okay. Let me open my web.xml file. Okay, but here it should work. Why it is not working? Let me just remove. I have this line and I have this line. Okay, let me just stop the server and restart it. Let me just stop the server. My server is stopped. Let me just start it. Okay, my server is started. Let me just run this JSP. Okay, this is the output of my JSP. You know, like by default, it is opening the content in the internal browser, which is present inside my Eclipse. If I don't want that, I can use the Chrome. So let me. I checked Chrome. So let me run now. Let's see what happens. See, you can't see my Chrome, right? Let me just stop. Share it. Okay, can you see this one? So whatever browser you select as internal browser, that will work. Okay, so when I click on first, still it's giving me, still it's not working. But when you click on next, when you click on first, it should display the content of first servlet. What is present in the first servlet? Tell me. This particular message should get displayed or not? Okay, something is wrong. It is not able to identify it. Just a minute. Where is my servlet? My first servlet. Let me right click properties. Okay, this is my fully qualified name, but it should work. Just a minute, give me some time. You just have to give the method name. Servlet name, servlet class, and servlet mapping, and the URL pattern. Okay. So let me just show you. Let me just give this URL mapping here. How to give the URL mapping? Okay, this one, right? Let me just uncomment it. Now let me check whether it will identify or not. Okay. So I want to write, now I have the URL mapping in my servlet or not. The URL mapping with web.xml is not working. I will check that. But before that, let me show you. If I give in the second way, it will work or not. So I'm just running my JSP. Aline is joining now. Okay. Okay. Let me use to start. Okay. Let me stop it. Let me start it again.
Did you edit the web.xml file?
You mean edit or delete?
Yeah, did you edit after giving the URL mapping?
I did not delete it. See, it is the same as it is. Let me just start my server. Okay. Let me just close and open my system. Okay. Opening my PC. I will start the server. Give me some time. Okay. Now let me start the server. Somebody not on.
You can see your
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, let me share my screen. I'm just changing the port numbers. Okay. Let me give a site 555. Let me start the server. You can see my screen. Can you see my Eclipse?
Yes.
Okay. Why it is giving fail to start again? Okay, let me check error from the console.
What I was saying was you have given the URL mapping in two different places, so there's a
Okay, maybe that's
duplication.
why. 1 minute. Both map to, okay. Both map to first, yeah. Maybe that's why, yeah. It is showing the error here. Illegal argument exception, the servlet name merge servlet and com.cubic merge servlet. But they both are same, right?
But you have already given the URL mapping as first in that my first servlet. So if you take out all the servlet information from web XML
Mm.
for the my first servlet, it should work. Like starting from line 16 to
Yeah,
30.
I understand. But like you can keep it in both. It just prefers the URL mapping which is present inside the servlet. It is saying that now it is saying that the first servlet and com.cubic my first servlet, it is treating them as differently. That's why it's not able to load this particular servlet. A child container failed. Okay. So it is showing the servlet name my first servlet and com.cubic.my first servlet are both mapped to the same URL pattern. But both are same. I don't know why it is considering both differently. Because this particular my servlet present in com.cubic itself. Okay, let me just comment it. Okay, I just commented it. Let's see. Yeah, let's try to start the server now. Now I have only one mapping and my server is started. Let me just run my JSP. I'm just running my JSP. Okay, let me just click me. The origin server did not find the current representation of the target resource. Okay, let me check with the another servlet. Something is wrong with my servlet. It's not able to identify. It is the same as the first, and I have to give in the JSP. Okay, here action is first. Here I defined correctly. Okay, let me just do one thing. Let me just write the URL pattern here. Okay, and let me just write it employee. And so now the request should go to employee instead of the first servlet. Okay, so now it should go to the employee. Let me run it. Let me just comment this one also. So now I have the URL mappings only inside the servlet, not inside the web.xml anymore. I just commented it. Now let me just run my JSP file. Okay, let me just run it. So when I click on this button, a request should go to the employee servlet, and whatever message is there, it should get displayed. But it is giving the origin server did not find the current representation for the target resource because I did not mention the method name. That's why. Let me just mention the method name. Let me just mention it as get. So inside here, I have service either to get or post. It will go to the service. We don't need to bother about it. Why still it is not working? Something is wrong. Okay, just give me a minute. You have to give the Ashma. You have to give the URL mapping inside that. Okay. We always give the URL mapping. Based on that, it will identify particular servlet. But your URL mapping and servlet, they both can be same. You can give the same name for the URL mapping. Okay. Just give me some time. Okay, it's working now. Can you see my Eclipse? Okay, we should not give the forward slash here. We should just give the servlet mapping name. So I forgot. I made a syntactic mistake, so it was not working. So now let me try with the web.xml entries. I want to remove. Let me just remove this one. I'm removing the annotation. Okay. I'm removing the annotations and I'm uncommenting it. It was just a small syntax error. In the last class also same thing happened. Just because of that button, it was not working. So I have the entries inside the web.xml for the two servlets. I don't have any annotations defined in the servlet class. So what I am doing here, I just gave a button in a JSP. When you click on that button, you're calling that we have two servlets and you are calling one servlet. Okay. Otherwise, if you want, I can write one more button which calls another servlet. You can call two servlets here. What's the second servlet name? First, right? One is employee and other one is first. Correct?
Yes.
So when you click on this button, let me say this is button 1 and this is button 2. Values click me 1, click me 2. So when you click on button 1, let me just execute this first and show you. Okay, can you see this one? Let me just add a break. Let me just add a break. I'm just adding break. I just added break. Okay. So you have a message, you have two buttons. When you click one button, your request will go to the employee servlet. When you click the second button, your request will go to the host servlet. Okay. Any confusion till here? Okay. So this is the code and this is the output. Click me will take you to employee servlet. Click me to will take you to host servlet. So when the request, so let me just explain this inside the paint. Okay. So this is my JSP file and this is the output of my JSP file. Okay. When I click this one, this is the first point. What happens at the first point? This first line, when we click on the button, request goes to whom? Request goes to
Okay.
Tomcat. So now Tomcat will have employee with it. When I'm clicking on click me one, I am also giving employee to it. I have employee associated with click me one or not. So employee will be given to Tomcat with the request. Request goes to Tomcat and Tomcat searches for the respective servlet which needs to handle this request. So it searches either in web.xml or annotation. So Tomcat searches. Using this employee, it will search in the web.xml or in the servlet. The respective mapping will be found and the request will be given to the servlet. Okay. So we have entry inside the web.xml or not? Let me just show you the web.xml and we have the entry here. We have entry for both of them. Just a moment, it's loading again. Just give me a minute. Okay. So this is my servlet. Oh, this is my web.xml file. Each time when I save, it's going slow. Okay, so this is my mapping code inside the web.xml. And okay, so how many mappings I defined here? Oh, I have mappings for how many servlets? Two servlets. So this employee servlet is located where? It is located for this servlet. It is found here, and the respective class is com.cubic.myemployee class. Okay, so this is the first step, and this is what the second step happens. Second step is to identify where your servlet is located. It is located in the myemployee class, and your myemployee class will be given this request. So whatever is inside your myemployee class will be executed, and this gets displayed on the console. So shall I click one? What is the output if I click one?
This is my first servlet.
Are you sure?
Let's check. Okay, let's check back to the form. JSP.
This is my employee class, because when you click one, your click one is calling employee servlet. I mean the employee class. So whatever the output of your employee class will get executed. But when you click me to, it calls your first servlet. So can you see this?
Yes,
So is it confusing or clear?
this is clear. I just got confused.
Is it okay? For anyone it's confusing? No response. Okay. So I define the servlet mapping inside the web.xml. So what I want to do here now, it is working for both, right? My Tomcat is using this web.xml to identify the servlet, and I can identify both the servlets using the web.xml, correct? So now what I want to do here is, for the one servlet, instead of, I want to use the second way. I don't want to write it here. I want to comment it, and I want to give the URL mapping inside the servlet itself. Okay. So let me go to my first servlet. I want to do it in the second way, and I want to check whether it will work or not. I'm sorry, it is stuck again. So this is my servlet. Okay, I added the annotation. Will it work now? For employee class servlet, I have the URL mapping. And my first servlet, I want to write it here instead of web.xml. Will it work?
Yes, it should work.
Okay, let me just run it and check. Run is. Both should work now. One will use the web.xml, other will use the servlet itself. I'm just clicking on click me one. This calls me employee servlet. It's working. Okay. Now let me click on click me two. It's working too. So you can do it in two ways. So I prefer this one because it is very much easy. Okay. Yeah, just single line. Okay. Can I make it as this one? I can give any name here. And whatever I give here, I have to give the same here also. Inside double quotation. Okay. Whatever I give there, I have to give here also. So will it work now? What's happening here? Did I press something? My first servlet. Okay. So it will work now also. It is just the name, whatever the name I am giving, I just changed it. So URL mapping name, you can say it as just like a nickname. You can give any name, but both should match. Whatever you are giving for the JSP, you should give the same thing here. It will work now here also. You are just changing the name, that's it. Okay, let me just click on click me one, it's working. And let me just click on click me two, it's working too. So this is how we provide the URL mappings inside web.xml or inside the servlet, and the Tomcat will refer either of them, any one of them. Okay. So I told you already, in one servlet I'm using doGet, and in another servlet I'm using service. But both are working perfectly because we know the reason behind it. Each and every request will go to the servlet service again. Again, the service method will forward the request to either get or post. Here we gave the get directly. So the get will handle the request. Here we did not mention anything. So the service gets called, and the service internally it will call the method. So let me just show you the Oracle documentation. Servlet service method code. Okay. Okay, let me just share my screen. I'm just opening the Oracle docs, and I just opened the servlet interface. Inside it, we have the methods defined. We know servlet interface contains these methods, and we are discussing about the service now. So if you can see the service method, this is how it looks like. And we have the remaining methods also. This is the servlet. Just a minute. Let me open the HTTP servlet again. Here we have few more methods defined. We will see the differences between get and post also. Okay. Servlet service code. What's going on? Okay. Can you see my screen? I think I pressed something else. Okay. Fine. Just give me some time. Okay. Google.com. I just want to show you the code. Okay, so this is the code of, can you see my screen? Micro, this one, can you see this? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your
So we
screen.
are discussing about the service method, right? So this is how the service method code internally, like this is how it looks like. So when you request for something,
But the screen is frozen.
oh, okay, let me stop sharing and let me share it again. Okay, you can see now, right?
Yes.
So this is how the code of service method looks like. When you send any request to any servlet, your request will go to the service method. We have importantly init, service, and destroy methods, but the service is the main one which handles your request. So when you request for something, your request will go to the service method. Service method again internally have some other methods defined. See, service method will have do, delete, do, get, head, options, post, all these things. So which one to call? You are you are requesting for something, but it has again internally some methods are defined. So which one to call? So these respective methods will be checked. Here in my Eclipse, which one I am mentioning? Did I mention get or post something? Let me share my Eclipse. Okay, you can see my Eclipse also, right? So here in the JSP, I mentioned get. Okay. So when you call, your request will be given to the servlet and it will be mentioned that we are asking to execute the get method. So here it will check one by one which one they are calling. The method type. If the method type is get, then do get will be called. If it is something else, if it is head, then do head will be called. So this is the code which is defined in the service method. We don't need to bother about it. This happens internally. It will check one by one. If the method equal to do post, then do post will be called. If the method is put, do put will be called. It will be like that. So you got some idea? If you don't mention anything, usually do get method gets called. Okay? Okay. So now let me add one more button. Let me try to show you the difference between the get and post. So shall I tell you the difference between get and post? Is it fine? Okay. So this is the second step. Let me share my paint also. Can you see this screen? Okay. So this is the first step. You will click on the button. The request goes to the Tomcat. Second step is Tomcat will identify your servlet. And the third step is your servlet will be find out and the output will be displayed. So when you click on click me, so when you click on click me one, you will get this response. Okay. Why I can't take this screenshot? Okay, we get this response on the browser. This is the response we get on the browser. This is the fourth step. This is how it works. Okay. So now here I am mentioning get. Let me add few more fields in my JSP. So when I click on first one, let me also add one more text button. So input type, I want to add some text field. Okay. This name of the field is I want to enter some name. Fine. I want to add the same field here also. But here I want to add the password. Okay. So what changes I made? I'm just adding uh, one more field extra. That's it. I did not do anything. I'm just adding one more field extra. Let me just run it and show you. So here I got one more text field extra, right? This is for entering the name. This is for entering the button. So let me just add some break here. I'm just adding some break here also. It's not looking good. So let me just add some break. Let me just refresh it. So I got break. Okay. Okay. Let me just remove this, click this button again. We don't need it. Okay. Name and password and okay. So I have one JSP file, two servlets. When I click on click me, employee servlet gets called. When I click on click me to, first servlet gets called, right? So here what I want to do, I want to pass one value, then click. In the second one, same thing. I want to pass one value and then click. You have to observe the URL. When I run the JSP, how does the URL looks like? This is the protocol. It looks like it will have some certain fields. First is the protocol, HTTP transfer protocol. This protocol we use for exchanging the information between the browser and the server. You need some communication mechanism. You need some protocol to interact with each other. So this protocol we use and the local host we know. We are running it locally and this is my port number. This is my project name and this is my particular JSP file name. So I just want to enter some value and I just want to click on click me. You see the difference in the URL, what happens. Please observe. So where it is taking me? It is taking me to the employee.
Yes,
Okay, let me enter some value here. Let me enter Sarika one. Let me click on click me to. Now you observe the URL. So where it is taking me to?
my server for servlet.
Okay. So here I want to do one thing. In my first servlet, I want to print this information. So can I get that using the request parameter? Can I print that? Or here instead of service, can I use post method? Okay. Let me define one question inside one servlet. Can you have two servlets? Sorry, inside one servlet, instead of one method, can you write more than one method? Yeah, just like a class can have any number of methods. The difference is you cannot have same method multiple times. Even if you have, the parameters should be different. We know that much, right? So let me do one thing. Now here I want to define do post method also. How to define the do post method? It is very simple. And let me remove this one. I will write something else. Okay. So here inside my first servlet, I have two methods. So we are discussing about get and post. For now, I'm just removing this employee class. I think it is confusing you. So let me have only second button. I'm removing this code also. Okay. Okay. Let me just say, I will write another field. That's fine. Let me just keep it for now. Okay. Before explaining this, I will just write down few points. So do get and do post. Let me share my screen. Okay. I think you can see my screen. Do get and do post are two important methods of which method? Tell me which
Servlet.
method? Service method. Then what is the difference? The
Okay, just
difference
to,
is do get will fetch you data and do post will post your data. Depending upon your requirement, you have to select that respective method, and do post is more secure than do get. Okay. Okay, let me just show you. Can you see my browser? I think you are able to see my browser, right? Okay, so I'm just giving some URL here. I'm just giving facebook.com. So when I give this URL and when I click on enter, I am making a request. Now you tell me this URL, when I click on enter, this fetches me data, or I am fetching the data, or I am posting some data. Am I giving any values here?
no.
It just fetches me some value. So these type of requests are used for the get. Get will gives you some value. Okay. And if I want to log in, do I need to enter some data here or not? So when
Yeah.
I enter some data and when I click on login, I am actually providing some data. That means I am posting some data. So in such situations, you have to use do post method. You just, if even like if you want to write a review for any site, if you want to write a review on your experience, you will write the either not only review, if you want to provide some comments on your experience with some shopping or anything, you will write some content, you will then click on submit, right? You are actually posting some data. Yes or no? In that situations, you have to use the post method. And if you are simply browsing and you are not posting any data, you have to use the get method. Okay. So this is the main reason behind your do get and do post. And it depends on your requirement which one to use. Do post is more secure because you are posting some data. If you want to provide security to your data, you have to use the do post method. So my question, can't you post the data using do get? Can you post the data using do get or not? You can, but the limited data. You can only post limited data using do get. Is that clear? Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fine. So now I have a JSP and I have my servlet. I am calling this servlet based on my JSP. Okay, so let me call the get method first. Okay, now what I want to print here is, if I want to print the information from this JSP file, let me just run it first. I don't want to restart the server again and again. So here, whatever the name I enter, I want to display it from the servlet. So can I get this name from the JSP? Is that possible? So let me give something here. Let me give the name as name or anything, name or my name. Okay. So here I am entering something. I am entering some value in this text area and its name is my name. So shall I get it here using like string name entered equal to request dot get parameter. So can I get something like this? Will it work? So I am entering some value from the JSP. Here I want to fetch. Okay. So instead of printing this, I want to print something else. What did I do? Okay. So I want to print hello. Whoever enters there. Hello. Hello to so and so person. Welcome to advanced. Okay. So I'm calling doGet. I'm entering some name there and I want to say hello to him. Let me just refresh it. Oh, what did I do? Let me just refresh it. And let me just enter some name. Arjan. Let me just click me. See. Hello Arjan. Welcome to advanced sessions. Let me give some space. Where is my servlet? This one I'm using, right? Okay. Hello. Okay, here I want to give some space. Fine. So now observe. I have one field here. I am entering my value. And when I click on click me to button, my first servlet is getting called. And I am also passing information from the JSP to servlet. Yes or no? Am I passing data from say JSP servlet or not?
Yes.
Okay. To get the value, I'm just using the request here because in advanced everything is request and response. So using request, I'm just fetching the entered name. Request.get parameter, whatever is entered in the JSP, just get it. So you have to pass the keyword, the name here. So whatever do you define the name field, you just have to use it the same way. Now you observe we are using the doGet method. So when you pass some information and when you get it, your data is secured or not. Usually for posting the information, we don't use the doGet. So just see, I am giving name as Sanjeev. And when I click on click me to, I am calling doGet or doPost. Which one I am calling? doGet. Okay. So now you observe the URL. Now you observe the URL. I am calling doGet. So my name is passed here or not, Sanjeev? It is passed here or not?
Yes.
Okay. So is this secure? Like whatever data you pass, it is getting displayed on the browser. Is it secure or not? It's not. Because if you enter the password, anyone can see your password. So in such situations, you have to use doPost. So this is with the doGet. So doGet displays your details on the browser. So let me use doPost instead of this. I'm just changing it to post. I'm just changing it to post. Okay. And it calls the doPost method. So let me write the same thing here. Instead of get, I am using post. Instead of hello, I want to say hi. Okay. Now you have to observe the URL. Let me run it. Let me continue without restarting and let me enter which name I want to enter. Prashant. Okay. Prashant, you have to observe the URL now. Let me click it. You have to observe the URL. Now earlier we got name equal to Sanjeev. Earlier we got my name equal to Sanjeev like this. Now let's see. Let me click me too. I didn't get anything like that, but still I got Prashant name here. Okay. So whatever I enter will not be displayed in the URL. So it is very secure or not? Your data is hidden from the URL. It is not displayed in the URL. So this is how. So this is the advantage of doPost. doPost is for posting the data. doGet is for fetching the data. We can also post the data using doGet, but it is limited. The main difference is doPost provides more security than doGet. This is the difference of between doGet and doPost. Okay. Okay, so it is because of get and post method. Yes, when we use post, I don't understand your question. Ashma, you can stop recording. We will discuss about questions and answers. Okay. I think today's recording is a little longer. Okay, so Arjun, what's your doubt? No doubt? Okay. Anyone has any questions? Okay, there are 20 people. For how many people it is totally confusing? They don't understand anything at all. Is there anyone like that? I got null for name entered. Okay. You can share me your screen, Barsha. Okay, you just share me your screen. Show me your JSP quickly. How do I open the web.xml after closing the project? You press Ctrl Shift O, Bashwar, Ctrl Shift O, then give web.xml. Or you can Ctrl Shift R, not O, Ctrl Shift R. Okay, just a minute, Barsha. Let me check your code. You have do get and do post. Can you go to JSP quickly? Form action first. 1 minute method is post. And where is the name field? You did not give a name field. How it will identify? You just gave input type. You also have to give name after that. After, okay, you just give space after my name. Yeah, before the closing angular bracket, give space. After that, yeah, give name. Type should be text. See, wait. If you say text, you are defining input type. Type should be which type you want. You want some field, but which type? So you want some text field and you have to give the name to it. The name should be anything. Don't give my name. Okay. See, if somebody says to me, Rodhan says to me, I am sending one student, add him to your class. Okay. So he has to tell me the student name so that I can add him. The type is student here. Whoever is sending, he is not an instructor or he is not an employee. The type is student and the name is Barsha. So whenever I call the student, I have to call Barsha. Getting my point? So now before the closing angular bracket, give name. You define the type, you also have to define the name. So let me just post you in the chat window. I just posted in the chat window. You can refer it. Type name equal to, okay, give whatever name you want. Save it. Okay, now go to the servlet. It will work now. You check now. Run your JSP. You have to be little careful when you are giving these fields and attributes. Okay, give some name. Okay, you got it. You are getting extra angular bracket. I think you might have entered it in the pw.print something. Yeah, you mentioned it. Remove it just. Okay. Is your doubt clear? Okay. Bashwar, can you share your screen quickly? Bashwar, please share your screen. Okay. So you are saying you cannot open web.xml. So which project you are referring? What's your project name? You can talk with me. Wait. Okay. Why you are opening some other files? I think that's why we cannot see we can see your Eclipse now. So is this your web.xml file will be present inside web.inf. Expand web.inf. Down. Yeah. Can you see now? Okay. So Okay. Is it clear now? You have any other doubts? I am asking you. Bhashwar, are you okay? So what's your doubt? I cannot hear anything. He is not on mute, but still I cannot hear anything. So anyone has any other doubts? Okay, so was it helpful today's session? Okay. Then please practice. Like if you don't practice, you will forget it. You won't be able to follow tomorrow's class. Because of the small syntax error, we wasted little time. So just take care of it. Even if your code is not working, just follow the recording and try to fix the errors. It will work. Please practice and please let's meet tomorrow. And whoever is not done screening, sorry, I cannot do anything. People are not getting in touch with me. So I have to drop a mail to Rodhan. I will drop. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.